Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It is the chosen once again. Imagine this. You are a poor young man riding your camel somewhere in the Sahara. You are poor, and your only wealth is a few camels which you intend to sell in the local market somewhere in the Sahara. Without these humped, hardy animals, you can't survive. You possess no practical skill, hard or soft, so you are unemployable. Even though your country is rich in crude oil, gold, and other numerous minerals, you have almost no hope of enjoying the benefits from that sector, and you can't even spell your name. That's how unskilled and uneducated you are. You can't read or write, either in the Latin script like A, B, C, and Z, or the Ajami script, which is a localized Arabic alphabet like Ali, Ba, Ta, Sa, Jim, and all of that. Neither can you even write the ancient alphabet of your ancestors, the Nubian alphabet. Yet, this is the story of a man who almost no one knew. And then today, thousands of people bow to him, either willingly or by force. Welcome to the story of an absolute idiot with absolute power. In the unforgiving expanses of Western Sudan, power is not always born in the halls of our parliaments or military academies. Sometimes it is forged in the dust, fueled by survival and driven by a ruthless ambition. This is the story of Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, known to the world today by his other name, Hemeti. A man who rose from a third-grade dropout trading camels to become one of the wealthiest, most feared, and most powerful warlords in modern African history. Born in the mid-1970s into the Mahiriya clan of the Rizaigat Arab tribe, Hemeti's story begins on the move as a nomad. Driven by severe drought and conflict, his family migrated from Chad into the Darfur region of Sudan. Life was defined not by books, but by livestock. Young Hemeti abandoned formal education by the third grade. His classroom was a desert. His trade was the buying, selling, and herding of camels. To his family, his soft, youthful features earned him the affectionate name Little Mohammed, that is, Hemeti. But the innocence of the name would soon be washed away, and in place be given an aura of fear and horror. The turning point came in the early 2000s. Tradition states that an armed gang ambushed Hemeti's trading convoy. Dozens of his family members were slaughtered. His livelihood, his camels, were plundered. You need to understand the gravity of this, because his camels were his only source of livelihood. He was not educated by any means. He could not even spell his name. He didn't have any other skill. Only trading camels. And his camels were slaughtered on that sorrowful, fateful day. In the lawless fringes of Sudan, a man without an army is a man without a future. Hemeti laid down his merchant's skill and picked up a Kalashnikov, which is like an AK-47 used in many countries, third world countries particularly, in conflicts, brutal conflicts. When Darfur erupted into a bitter rebellion against the central government in Khartoum, President Omar al-Bashir looked for a cheap, brutal weapon to crush the uprising. He found it in the Arab nomadic militias. They called them the Janjaweed. Not ganja, not the one that Lucky Dube and Raskimono and Bob Marley used. No, not that one. Janjaweed, which means or was interpreted as devils on horseback. Hemeti did not just join them, he mastered them. He proved to be a charismatic, highly effective tactical commander. He led his forces through relentless campaigns that international observers and the United Nations classified as a systematic genocide. Now, for you to understand the gravity of this, the region where he carried out this genocide, which is known as Darfur, is a region that accepted him when he was fleeing massacre in Chad. Now, today he claims to be full Sudanese and he completely abandons or rejects his Chadian ancestry, which most people are leaning towards nowadays. When Hemeti's family arose or appeared in the Sudan region, nobody really recognized them because they were not from any of the clans. He claims to be from a sheikh or one of those ruling class of the Arab communities in Sudan. However, the local communities of the Arabs, they did not recognize him. They didn't know who exactly he was. So his story is a bit more shady. But then, like I said earlier, for us to fully understand the gravity of this, we need to look at the region, which is Darfur. Now, Darfur region was a region that was dominated by the Fur people. Now, the Fur people are a native ethnic group within the Sudan region. Particularly, if you know the history of Sudan, they had the kingdom of Kema. I think yes, kingdom of Kema in Kush, and then they had the Nubian kingdoms, and then during the Hellenistic era, they had their Christian kingdoms as well, which is known as Christian Nubia. Now, during the era of Christian Nubia, it lasted for a long period of time. It was one of the prosperous African Christian kingdoms by black Africans, not Christianity brought by Europeans. However, this kingdom lasted until the 17th century till it died out. And we had kingdoms like Dongola, like Nubia, and no, not Nubia, Nubatia. Yes, Dongola, Nubatia, and Alodia. No, I got the name wrong. Makuria, Alodia, and Nubatia. However, when this kingdom was crumbling down, different people began to move in. Some of them were the Arabs who were moving in during the Christian era, were settling as they did in many other Christian civilizations of the time. However, they also settled down in other regions of Sudan. But the other people that also moved into that region was the Fur people. They moved into different parts of Sudan. But the Darfur region is like the land of the Fur people. And when Hemeti and his family were migrating from Sudan, from Chad rather, when they were migrating from Chad, they settled down in the Darfur region. So imagine the particular place that accepted you and took you as a child and nurtured you. You now begin to massacre people over there. And this was not even the recent one. It was during their previous dictator, Omar al-Bashir. Between 2003 and 2005, Hemeti's militias were implicated in horrific massacres, burning entire villages, poisoning wells, and utilizing mass trauma as a weapon of war. For his loyalty and devastating efficiency, Hemeti caught the ultimate eye. By 2013, the Janjaweed needed a corporate rebrand. President Bashir formally institutionalized the militia into a state-sanctioned paramilitary force. That is, this force, this ethnic cleanser, these genociders, these terrorists, were now made a legal army unit by the president, Omar al-Bashir, and he called it the Rapid Support Force, the RSF. And this is the same force that is tearing Sudan apart today. And at its helm, with the official rank of general, sat Hemeti, the same uneducated, illiterate camel rider with no skill whatsoever to sustain his own life. Hemeti used his newfound official power to build an untouchable empire. And it was just the beginning. The gold mines. The RSF violently seized control of the lucrative Jebel Amel gold mines in Darfur, turning Hemeti into Sudan's richest man overnight. By controlling the gold mines in the different regions of Sudan, in the particular Darfur region of Sudan, he was able to make himself very wealthy and unquestionable for most of the time. He deployed thousands of RSF fighters to fight in Yemen for the Saudi-led coalition, generating billions in foreign currency and securing powerful Gulf allies. He became not just a genocider, but now a regionally recognized warlord in both Africa and the Middle East. By 2023, finally, the RSF grew to a force of over 100,000 highly mobile, combat-hardened troops, completely independent of the regular Sudanese army. Completely independent. And this was where the problem started from. It was where the catalyst to the greater chain of reaction came into play. But now let's wind back a little bit from 2023, which we all know what happened already. Now, when the Sudanese people rose up in 2019 to demand the ousting of the dictator Omar al-Bashir, Hemeti saw the rising of the war. In a calculated twist of betrayal, he turned his guns on his own benefactor, joining forces with regular Army Chief General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. Originally, like it said here, the president Omar al-Bashir was his benefactor. He bypassed the regular military protocol of rising through the normal ranks and made him the direct head of the RSF. But when he saw that the revolution was coming and he didn't have any safe haven, he was smart and used initiative to play everyone to its own benefit. And suddenly, the former camel rider, the former uneducated idiot who could not even write his own name, who could not even spell his own name, became the deputy leader of Sudan. Now, the plan originally at this time was to transition to civilian rule and stabilize the country. And there have been many criticisms of this whole scheme. Some are of the opinion that this whole scheme of Hemeti and the Democratic Coalition was a complete scam. They saw the civilian class as highly unskilled and just benefactor of some NGO. And the work of NGO in Africa particularly has been seen with skepticism and all of that. However, it's important to note that the road to transition was not really smooth, and we are where we are today. But a cage cannot hold two tigers. The cage of power, which was meant to be a sort of benefit for both of them, since they both held power of the state and wanted to so-called transition to democratic rule. And this was where the bigger problem came in when no one saw it. The alliance between the regular army and the RSF was a ticking time bomb. The core issue was a plan to integrate the RSF into the regular military, which Hemeti saw as very, very threatening to his position. He didn't want to leave his military superiority and his power and his privileges as a leader of himself. So he decided to do something, which was the news which he got on April 15th, 2023. And I remember this day perfectly because then I was still a student in university, studying sociology and anthropology. I was towards my final years of study. And on that particular day, the tension snapped. Khartoum became a war zone. The conflict between Hemeti and Burhan plunged Sudan into a catastrophic civil war, tearing the nation apart, displacing millions and reviving the familiar ghost of atrocities across Darfur. Sudan had been through many wars at this period already, from the various wars that happened before Umar al-Bashir took over, and then during his own rulership, the whole war should have been at least 40 years of brutal, continuous conflict. I don't think any country in the world or in Africa has had a conflict for up to 40 years, except for maybe the 100 Years' War of early modern Europe. But regardless, we can see the handwriting on the wall. Sudan was very unstable at the time. South Sudan had just broken away. And in fact, the breaking away of South Sudan did not really solve any problem because they felt it was a religious issue, Christian in the north, Muslims in the south, Arabs in the north, blacks in the south. So let's separate, Christians have their country, Muslims have their country, all of that. But South Sudan is majority Christian today, and yet they still have the same issue of fighting. So it's very clear that religion is not a problem here. It's not because of Christianity or Islam or traditional religions. It's a structural problem, a problem of societal values and the people in power. When people in power are not geared towards making the country a better place or building the nation, you end up seeing multiple and endless fighting. When the country's leader are very direct and very intentional of what they want, and they are focused on the future, you see the nation growing and building itself. And then, from the quiet dust of nomadic trading routes to the absolute apex of state power, Hemeti's rise is a testament to how raw brutality, commercial cunning, and shifting allegiances can hijack a nation. The camel trader turned general now holds the fate of millions in his hands, and the story of Sudan continues to be written in blood. And this is what happens when you give absolute power to an absolute idiot. Thanks for watching.